House bills. Rainbow New Deal. Integrating ecological protection and tackling inequality. 9 p.m. for preliminary examination. Factly. Women in Science. Source. The Indian Express. Syllabus. GS. Society. Context. Rigorous efforts are required to make the workplace inclusive of women scientists in India. What is the status of women scientists in India? The Department of Science and Technology is reportedly making up a policy where the proportion of women employed will be considered in ranking a scientific institution. National Task Force for Women in Science. According to their data, Indian scientific institutions collectively employed will be considered in ranking a scientific institution. National Task Force for Women in Science. According to their data, Indian science to make the workplace inclusive for women scientists in India. What is the status of women scientists in India? The Department of Science and Technology is reportedly making up a policy where the proportion of women employed will be considered in ranking a scientific institution. National Task Force for Women in Science. According to their data, Indian scientific institutions collectively employ only 15% women, even as women form 37% of PhD holders and accounted for 40% of university enrollment in science subjects in 2001. 12 years later, the Indian National Science Academy had only 5% elected women colleagues in their ranks. What are the reasons for drop in number of women in science? Drop in the number of women in science. Juggling professional and domestic responsibilities is one of many reasons. Administrative hassles at the workplace, uncertainty of securing a travel fund for attending research conferences and presenting papers at national and international meetings. Acting as help at the home front, caring for young children or aging parents often makes the woman scientist focus on publications since they are perceived as the one objective criterion to judge a scientist. Avoid hiring couples. This has been a major stumbling block for many scientists who found like-minded partners in their own fields. What changes can be done to rectify the inequalities during the early stages of a scientific career? Making creche facilities mandatory at workplaces. The creche should be sustainable and affordable for all, as it will provide employment opportunities to more women. Safe travel. Prioritizing young families for on-campus housing by revamping the current seniority-based system and providing workplace transport facility. Change in approach to conferences. Supporting and rewarding organizers who ensure greater participation of women will ensure higher participation and present networking opportunities. Special sessions at conferences can provide a platform for floating ideas and understanding the needs of the industry. The childcare leave, if extended to either parent, will prevent women from bearing the brunt of career setbacks. The best research institutions create spaces for mixing and mingling, ironing out stereotypes and perceptions of being the other group. Creating a metric for evaluation of such resources, and a channel for inter-institutional mobility, cross-fertilization of ideas, technical expertise and resources can arise. The flexibility to switch career paths and the opportunity to make a permanent move could prevent stagnation and create a much-needed change between academic institutes, government and private centers of learning, research institutes and even the industry. Way forward. The new policy has to be sensitive to ground-level realities. Committees and organizations have to be sensitized and implementation ensured through periodic evaluations of outcomes. Making the data regarding publicly funded projects widely available will allow analysis of factors beyond equality in numbers. The goal should be ensuring equality without compromising quality of research. 2. India and Quad. Source: Indian Express. Syllabus: GS 2. Bilateral, regional and global groupings and agreements involving India and/or affecting India's interests. Context: confusion on what the Quad is and its future in India's international relations. Is Quad a military alliance? Quad is multilateral framework that brings India together with the US and its Asian allies, Japan and Australia. It is a platform for building issue-based coalitions in pursuit of shared interests. It is a critical element not only for India's foreign and security policy but also a definitive moment in the evolution of post-war Asian economic and security architectures. What is military alliance? They are a means to enhance countries' military power. Alliances are made to deter or defeat one's enemies. The alliance treaty usually involves written commitments to come to the defense of the other against a third party. Why military alliances are not favored in India's foreign policy? In India, alliances have a negative connotation in our foreign policy discourse. In India's foreign policy, alliances are seen as a taboo. India's non-alignment policy is seen as central to Indian worldview. India's negative view towards alliances was shaped by Western powers the US, UK, and France that joined Soviet Russia to defeat fascist Germany turned against Moscow after the Second World War. Does India forge alliances? India does do alliances, but on necessary conditions and on selective terms when they arises. During national movement, during Second World War, Subhas Chandra Bose joined forces with Imperial Japan to set up a provisional government in Port Blair, Andaman Islands. Jawaharlal Nehru's period, though he actively opposed U.S. alliances in Asia, but turned to cope with the Chinese aggression in 1962, he sought the U.S. for military support. Indira Gandhi's period, during 1971 to cope with the crisis in East Pakistan, she signed a security cooperation agreement with the Soviet Union. Why alliances are not reliable? Pakistan, signing the 1954 bilateral security agreement with the U.S. could not prevent Pakistan division by India in 1971. Also, agreements for security cooperation are made in a specific context and against a particular threat. When those circumstances change, security treaties will also become meaningless. For example, the 1950 treaty with Nepal was to protect them against the Chinese threat. But now Nepal no longer see a danger from China. Similarly, during 1970s Russia was willing to support India against the China's aggression. But today, Beijing is Moscow's strongest international partner. Quad and way forward, India's foreign policy aligned towards the non-alignment confronts our need to rapidly expand our national capabilities in partnership with like-minded partners. The new India should find coalitions like the Quad critical for its international prospects. Reimagining education in 100 years. Source: The Hindu. Syllabus: GS2 issues relating to development and management of social sector services relating to health, education, human resources. Context: there is a need to explore the contours of national education practices leading to 2047 when politically independent India becomes 100 years old. What are critical design principles for transformation of the educational sector in India, and what are the efforts made in this direction? From a teacher's perspective, the next education practices can be viewed through the following 5 design principles. Autonomy to excel is the key aspects of autonomy. Greater autonomy for the educational institutes would entail greater leeway for the institutes in terms of regulations imposed by regulators in academic, organizational, financial and staffing dimensions. Autonomy of customization: there would be autonomy of the learner in creating his/her own curriculum at his/her own pace and capabilities. This could play a critical role in improving learning outcomes as well. Efforts being made in autonomy direction: premier institutes like the IITs and IIMs have been granted autonomy in their day-to-day functioning. Concern: despite the best intentions of granting autonomy to the higher educational institutes, these efforts have yielded limited returns due to practical limitations. The granting of autonomy to the premier institutes, IITs, IIMs, in India has resulted in no dramatic variation in the nature of autonomy of these institutes. Learning technology followed education. There needs to be a greater emphasis on technology-driven education. Technology-embedded way of learning. Teachers will raise awareness rather than delivering content. Smart schools and smart classes may soon morph to smart chairs and smart desks, which may have sensors to map the flow of attention in the classroom. Learning will be about propagation of crucial questions rather than predetermined answers. Concern: in 2047, 6 billion people in the world would constitute the middle class. The needs of affordable education to a larger number of students spread across a larger area while also ensure better learning outcomes. Transdisciplinary education coherence across fields. Transdisciplinarily is about creating a coherent intellectual framework beyond the disciplinary perspectives. Multidisciplinary: it involves experts from different disciplines working together, each drawing on their unique disciplinary knowledge. It would help to construct an understanding of the real-life problems. For instance, tackling the pandemic required medical scientists, economists, health workers and political scientists and more experts to bring their disciplinary depth to the table. Efforts being made in autonomy direction: the NEP 2020 routes for multidisciplinary institutions rather than standalone schools. Technology innovation: technology-led innovation will take learning from cognition to immersion. The content of knowledge has evolved from text that had to be cognized to include visual, audio and tactile immersive experiences. Value-based education: by 2047, Indian teachers will be engaged in nurturing global mindsets based on 3 classical values, which are Satyam, authenticity; Nityam, sustainability; and Purnam, wholeness. Way forward: in 2047, A teacher's role, based on 5 principles, will be to oversee the transformative rebirth of citizens. The most valuable outcome of education is the becoming of a competent and compassionate human being. Education is finally about creating and sustaining wholesome cultures rather than serving the templates of outmoded civilizations. Farms Bills. Source: The Hindu. Syllabus: GS 3. Issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure, devolution of powers. Context: the passage of the 3 Farm Acts has raised a constitutional debate on unions' powers to legislate on state subjects. What are the 3 contentious farm bills? The Farmers' Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act, 2020. The Farmers' Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act, 2020. The Essential Commodities Amendment Act, 2020. What is the controversy around Entry 33 in concurrent list? Following subjects are on the state list: agriculture, trade and commerce within the state, production, supply and distribution of goods. Markets and fairs are enumerated as state subject. However, the trade and commerce within the state, Entry 26, and production, supply and distribution of goods, Entry 27, are subjected to the provisions of Entry 33 of concurrent list after the 3 Amendment Act, 1954. As per Article 369, the responsibility of agricultural trade and commerce within a state was temporarily entrusted to the Union government for a period of 5 years beginning from 1950. However, the 1954 amendment changed this into a permanent feature in the Constitution. Despite many opposed, stating that the bill would lead to an expanding encroachment on the rights of the states, the bill was passed. Now the same Entry 33 was invoked to encroach the powers of the states. What are the directives given by Supreme Court in ITC Limited vs. Agricultural Produce Market Committee, APMC, Case 2002? The development of the tobacco industry was brought under the center through the Tobacco Board Act, 1975. However, Bihar's APMC Act continued to list tobacco as an agricultural produce. In this case, the question was if the APMC could charge a levy on ITC for the purchase of unprocessed tobacco leaves from growers. The then Constitution Bench upheld the validity of the state APMC Act, and provided some important directives. Market fees can be charged from ITC under the state APMC Act. State laws become repugnant only if the state and center enact laws on the same subject matter under an entry in List 3. In those cases, outside List 3, one has to first examine if the subject matter was an exclusive entry under List I or List 2, and only after determining this can one decide on the dominant legislation that would prevail. How the directives of Court related to present Farm Acts of 2020? In the case of the Farm Acts of 2020, the applicable points are A and C. With regard to A, states could continue to charge mandi taxes from private markets anywhere in the notified area, regardless of the Central Act. With regard to C, the state legislation should prevail as agriculture is an exclusive subject matter under Entry 14 in List 2. Why the recent Farm Acts are said to have poor legal validity. Center to use Entry 33 in List 3 to push the farm bills weakens the spirit of cooperative federalism. Second, agriculture is exclusively a state subject. Everything that is subsidiary to an exclusive subject in List 2 should also fall under the exclusive legislative purview of states. Most importantly, Entry 28 in List 2 markets and fairs is not subject to Entry 33 in List 3. Rainbow New Deal, integrating ecological protection and tackling inequality. Syllabus GS 3 Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and employment. Context: India needs a rainbow recovery plan to emerge successfully from COVID-19 and the structural changes it has brought in society. What is meant by Rainbow New Deal? It refers to a seamless integration of ecological protection and tackling of wealth inequality and economic vulnerability of several hundreds of millions of people. What are the features of Rainbow New Deal? Sustainable livelihoods. Many small farmers, pastoralists, and fishers can be enabled to sustain or switch to organic, ecologically sustainable production. This would ensure their own food security and local marketing links. This has to be built on regenerating and safeguarding the country's soil, natural ecosystems, water, biological diversity, and air. Sustainable lifestyle. This involves encouraging lifestyles and livelihoods that obtain substantial food, medicines, household items and other needs, as also sustainable livelihoods, from natural ecosystems. Focusing on MSMEs, it would entail reviving and sustaining India's incredible diversity of crafts, and decentralized production of most goods and services with a massive investment in the small and medium sector enterprises. For instance, Ella Bhatt, founder of SEWA, has proposed the 100-mile radius as a region within which the objective of self-reliance can be met. 4. Improving social sector. It involves substantial investments in public health, education, housing, transportation and other basic needs. Wealth redistribution. Economist Prabhat Patnaik has pointed out, a mere 2% wealth tax coupled with a 33% inheritance tax on the richest 1% of India could generate more revenue than the total recovery package the government of India announced for corona-induced challenges. Way forward. If the diverse strands of resistance, feminist, worker, farmer, and other mobilizations of the marginalized, and myriad grassroots initiatives at alternative living all can be synergized, a R&D kind of transformation may yet be on the horizon in post-corona Indian economy. The 6th, 2020. RAISE 2020. It has been organized by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology in association with the NITI Aayog. Aim, to bring together people to exchange ideas on the use of artificial intelligence for social empowerment. Electronics and Information Technology in association with AI for Social Empowerment 2020. Facts. RAISE 2020. It has been organized by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology in association with the NITI Aayog. Aim, to bring together people to exchange ideas on the use of artificial intelligence for social empowerment, inclusion and transformation in industries such as education, smart mobility, agriculture and healthcare among others. Additional facts. Global Partnership on AI, GPAI, IDIS and International Initiative created by France and Canada along with Australia, the European Union, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, New Zealand, the Republic of Korea, Singapore, Slovenia, the United Kingdom and the United States of America. Aim, to guide responsible development and use of AI in a spirit of respect for human rights, inclusion, diversity, innovation and economic growth. News. Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, has conducted a successful flight test of the supersonic missile-assisted release of torpedo, SMART, from Wheeler Island off the coast of Odisha. Facts. SMART. It is a missile-assisted release of lightweight anti-submarine torpedo system for anti-submarine warfare, ASW, operations for far of Odisha. Facts. SMART. It has conducted a successful flight test of the supersonic missile-assisted release of torpedo, SMART, from Wheeler Island off the coast of Odisha. Facts. SMART. It is a missile-assisted release of lightweight anti-submarine torpedo system for anti-submarine warfare, ASW, operations for far beyond torpedo range. Additional facts. Anti-submarine warfare. It is a branch of underwater warfare that uses surface warships, aircraft, submarines, or other platforms to find, track, and deter, damage and/or destroy enemy submarines. Torpedoes. They are self-propelled weapons with a warhead and can be used under or on the water surface. They are one of the mainstay of sea warfare attack systems. News. The Chief Minister of Delhi will be among the 5 urban leaders from around the world to speak at the Daring Cities 2020. Facts. Daring Cities. It is an action-oriented forum designed to empower urban leaders including mayors and other decision-makers to tackle the climate crisis. Created by, it was established by ICLEI and the federal city of Bonn, Germany. Daring Cities 2020. It will comprise high-level and visionary speakers. The event will help to set the course to COP26, Daring Cities 2021 and beyond. The 26th session of the Conference of the Parties COP26 to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, will be held in 2021 in Glasgow, UK. News: French territory of New Caledonia voted against independence from France in a referendum held recently. The referendum was a part of a decolonization plan agreed in 1998 known as the Noumea Accord. Facts: New Caledonia. It is an archipelago and special collectivity of France located in the southwest Pacific Ocean. Significance: it has large deposits of nickel, a vital component in manufacturing electronics, and is seen by France as a strategic political and economic asset in the region. Autonomy: it enjoys a large degree of autonomy but depends heavily on France for matters like defense and education and still receives large subsidies from France. It is also one of the UN's 17 non-self-governing territories, where the process of decolonization has not been completed. News: Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, have successfully conducted the trial of the nuclear-capable Shaurya missile. Facts: Shaurya. It is a hypersonic surface-to-surface tactical missile developed as a land variant of short-range submarine-launched ballistic missile, SLBM K-15 Sagarika. Features: these ballistic missiles belong to the K-missile family. It has a range of at least 750 kilometers. It is also capable of carrying payloads of 200 kilograms to 1,000 kilograms. The missile is based on a canister system, which means that it is stored and operated from specially designed compartments. Additional facts: K-missile family. They are primarily submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs. These have been indigenously developed by DRDO and are named after late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. The development of these naval platform-launched missiles began in the late 1990s as a step towards completing India's nuclear triad, the capability of launching nuclear weapons from land, sea and air-based assets. News: Minister of Commerce and Industry will be releasing the results of the first edition of National Startup Awards. Facts: National Startup Awards. It was set up by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Aim: to recognize and reward outstanding startups and ecosystem enablers that are building innovative products or solutions and scalable enterprises, with high potential of employment generation or wealth creation, demonstrating measurable social impact. Categories: the awards will be given across 12 sectors, namely agriculture, education, enterprise technology, energy, finance, food, health, industry 4.0, space, security, tourism and urban services. Apart from these, startups are to be selected from those which create impact in rural areas, are women-led and founded in academic campuses. News: the 2020 Nobel Prize for Medicine or Physiology has been awarded to Americans Harvey J. Alter and Charles M. Rice and British scientist Michael Houghton for the discovery of the hepatitis C virus. Facts: Hepatitis C. It is a liver disease caused by the hepatitis C virus, HCV. The virus can cause both acute and chronic hepatitis, ranging in severity from a mild illness lasting a few weeks to a serious, lifelong illness. Spread: the hepatitis C virus is a bloodborne virus. The most common modes of infection are through exposure to small quantities of blood. This may happen through injection drug use, unsafe injection practices, unsafe health care, transfusion of unscreened blood and blood products, and sexual practices that lead to exposure to blood. Cases of hepatitis C. According to WHO, about 71 million people, 6–11 million of them in India, have chronic infection with the hepatitis C virus, which also happens to be a major cause of liver cancer. How is hepatitis C treated? Presently there is no vaccine available for HCV. However, it can be treated with antiviral medication. Additional facts: hepatitis, itis and inflammation of the liver. The condition can be self-limiting or can progress to fibrosis, scarring, cirrhosis or liver cancer. Types of hepatitis. There are 5 main hepatitis viruses referred to as types A, B, C, D and E. Hepatitis A and E are typically caused by ingestion of contaminated food or water. Hepatitis B, C and D usually occur as a result of parenteral contact with infected body fluids such as contaminated blood or blood products, invasive blood procedures using contaminated equipment. Hepatitis B transmission can also happen from mother to baby at birth, from family member to child and also by sexual contact. Vivek Sahni. 8 minutes read. EC announces new rules for postal ballot. News. The Election Commission has released new guidelines regarding postal ballot in the elections. News. AIM. The rules aim to make the procedure to opt for postal ballot more convenient for those above 80 years of age and people with disabilities. What does the new rules provide? It says that the form required to opt for the postal ballot would be delivered at the residence of all those above 80 years of age and people with disabilities by the booth-level officer under his polling station. It would be up to these two category of voters to opt for postal ballot. Additional facts. Postal ballot. It is a type of voting in elections whereby electronically transmitted postal ballot papers, ETPB, are distributed to electors and returned by post. Section 60 of the Representation of the People Act, 1951 provides for the person to be given postal ballot facility by the Election Commission in consultation with the government. News. Prime Minister has inaugurated the Atal Tunnel in Himachal Pradesh, Rohtang. Facts. Atal Tunnel, earlier known as Rohtang Tunnel, it is a 9.02 kilometers long tunnel that connects Manali to Lahaul-Spiti Valley throughout the year. Significance. The tunnel is the world's longest highway tunnel above the altitude of 10,000 feet 3,000 meters. Constructed by. The tunnel has been constructed by the Border Roads Organization, BRO. Additional facts. BRO, it was formed in 1960 to secure India's borders and develop infrastructure in remote areas of the north and northeast states of the country. It has been under the control of the Ministry of Defense since 2015. News. Prime Minister has announced the construction of 66 megawatts Dalasi Hydro Project at Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh. Facts. Dalasi Hydro Project. It is proposed on the horseshoe curve of the Beas River. The aim is to generate hydroelectricity and use water for irrigation in adjoining areas of the districts. News. China has announced significant climate change announcements at the virtual UN General Assembly in New York. Facts. What has China announced? China would become carbon net zero by the year 2060. Net zero. It is a state in which a country's emissions are compensated by absorptions and removal of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Absorption can be increased by creating more carbon sinks such as forests, while removal involves application of technologies such as carbon capture and storage. Other announcements. China has made a small but important change in China's already committed target for letting its emissions peak from by 2030 to before 2030. That means China would not allow its greenhouse gas emissions to grow beyond that point. Significance of China's commitment. China is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases. It accounts for almost 30% of global emissions, more than the combined emissions in the United States, the European Union and India, the three next biggest emitters. Additional facts. Other countries' commitment. European Union has committed itself to a net zero emission status by 2050. South Africa has also declared its intention to become carbon neutral by 2050. News. The chairman of a Supreme Court-appointed expert committee under Ravi Chopra has alleged violations of the court orders in the execution of the Chardham Road project. Facts. Chardham Road project. It is a project that involves developing and widening 900 km of national highways connecting the holy Hindu pilgrimage sites of Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri. Additional facts. Chamba Tunnel. It is a 440-meter-long tunnel built by Border Roads Organization, BRO, on Rishikesh-Darasu Road Highway, NH94, in Uttarakhand. The tunnel will facilitate all-weather connectivity to Chardham, Gangotri, Kedarnath, Yamunotri and Badrinath. News. Niti Aayog, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and Invest India are organizing a global symposium virtually, India PV Edge 2020. Facts. India has become the third largest solar capacity country in the world and set an ambitious target of 450 gigawatts of renewable capacity by 2030, comprising 300 gigawatts of solar capacity. The major factor behind the rise of solar deployment is gigascale solar manufacturing and the continuous adoption of innovations to reduce prices. Hence, solar PV manufacturing is one of the strategic sectors announced by the Indian government as part of the post-COVID Atmanirbhar Bharat Recovery Initiative. Cutting-edge giga-scale solar manufacturing stands on three pillars: disruptive PV chemistries, manufacturing by custom-engineered advanced production equipment, and utilization of innovative BOM components like special glasses and coatings. Additional facts. Invest India. It is the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of India and acts as the first point of reference for investors in India. It was set up in 2000 2009 as a non-profit venture under the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Various parts of the Western Ghats bordering Tamil Nadu. Fact. Wildlife Week is celebrated every year in India between October 1st and 8. Aim. To promote the preservation of fauna. Background. It was conceptualized in 1952 with the overall goal of raising awareness to serve the long-term goal of safeguarding the lives of wildlife through critical action. News. On Swachh Bharat Divas, the 2nd of October, Swachh Bharat 2020 awards were distributed. Facts. Swachh Bharat awards are conferred upon best performing states, UTs, districts, blocks, GPs and others in various categories and campaigns under Swachh Bharat mission. Gujarat was felicitated with the first prize in the state for Swachh Sundar Samudyak Shauchalaya SSSS campaign. Telangana received the top award for maximum Shramdan participation. Haryana was felicitated with the top award for declaring maximum ODF plus villages. Additional information. Swachh Bharat Mission. It is a nationwide cleanliness campaign initiated by Gov. of India on the 2nd of October 2014. Aim. It sought to achieve a clean India by 2019, as a tribute to the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Objectives. Eliminate open defecation. Conversion of insanitary toilets to pour flush toilets. Eradication of manual scavenging. 100% collection and science. Objectives. Eliminate open defecation. Conversion of insanitary toilets to pour flush toilets. Eradication of manual scavenging. 100% collection and scientific processing, disposal, reuse, recycle of municipal solid waste. To bring about a behavioral change in people regarding healthy sanitation practices. Generate awareness among the citizens about sanitation and its linkages with public health. Strengthening of urban local bodies to design, execute and operate systems. To create enabling environment for private sector participation in capital expenditure and operation and maintenance O&M costs. Components. Construction of toilets, community and public toilets, solid waste management, information, education and communication IEC, and public awareness. Capacity building and administrative and office expenses A&OE. Submissions. Swachh Bharat Mission, Gramin, it aims to improve the levels of cleanliness in rural areas through solid and liquid waste management activities and making villages open defecation-free, ODF, and clean. It is implemented by Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation, Jal Shakti Ministry. Swachh Bharat Mission, Urban, it aims at elimination of open defecation, conversion of unsanitary toilets to pour flush toilets, eradication of manual scavenging, municipal solid waste management and bringing about a behavioral change in people regarding healthy sanitation practices. It is implemented by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. News. Ministry of Jal Shakti has launched 100 Days campaign on the 2nd of October 2020 to ensure piped safe water in schools and Anganwadi centers across. Facts. The piped water facilities will be operated and maintained by the Gram Panchayat and or its subcommittee, i.e. Village Water and Sanitation Committee or Pani Samiti. Jal Jeevan Mission. Aim. It seeks to provide safe and adequate drinking water through individual household tap connections, Har Ghar Jal, to all rural households by 2024. Implementing agency. Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation under the Jal Shakti Ministry. News. Second edition of Exercise Bongo Sagar is scheduled to commence in Northern Bay of Bengal on the 3rd of October 2020. Third edition of BN Coordinated Patrol, CORPAT, will also be conducted in Northern Bay of Bengal from 4 to the 5th of October 2020. Facts. It is a bilateral naval exercise between Indian Navy, IN, and Bangladesh Navy, BN. Aim. Developing interoperability and joint operational skills through conduct of a wide spectrum of maritime exercises and operations. The first exercise was held in 2019. The second edition of and joint operational skills through it is a bilateral naval exercise between Indian Navy, IN, and Bangladesh Navy, BN. Aim. Developing interoperability and joint operational skills through conduct of a wide spectrum of maritime exercises and operations. The first exercise was held in 2019. The second edition of Exercise Bongo Sagar assumes greater significance since it is being conducted during Mujib Barsho, the 100th birth anniversary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. News. Data Governance Quality Index (DGQI) has been released. Facts. Data Governance Quality Index DGQI, conducted by Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office DMEO, NITI Aayog. Aim, to assess the data preparedness of ministries, departments on a standardized framework to drive healthy competition among them and promote cooperative peer learning from best practices. Major themes: data generation, data quality, use of technology, data analysis, use and dissemination, data security and HR capacity and case studies. Categories of ministries, departments: administrative, strategic, infrastructure, social, economic and scientific.